Now let's head to the crypto space. I saw some interesting stories just before coming on air. I hope they're still interesting. Before that, let's look at the price. What's the price looking like? Seems to have gone back into the red zone. So we see it at 97,502 is what we see. So in the last, I think, an hour or so, indicates this 1.49% drop. Ethereum is also in the red. Solana in the red. Solana is also in the news, I believe. XRP and a whole lot more. I think there's a stable coins a bit in the green, but the green not looking very impressive at this time. But we can live with this. We've gone through worse, I guess. Let's look at the headlines at this time. So on February 7, that's today, Hamsterverse, yes, Hamster is back in the news. They announced the launch of their platform, which will utilize the Hamster's token across all its apps and dApps. Immediately following the announcement, we saw Hamster experience a significant price surge at about 10 a.m. UTC. It was trading at $0.15, but in about 30 minutes, we saw it had gone up from 0.15 to 0.22, marking a 46.67 increase within just 30 minutes. The trading volume also saw a substantial rise from an average of 5 million traded per hour to 15. But we don't know if that's going to be sustainable. Hamster, we know what it did to a lot of people last year, whether you are disappointed or not. Everybody have their own story. So the other story also making the headlines today is the United States Securities and Exchange Commission acknowledging Solana as Solana has made a significant step towards approving Solana and their Litecoin Spot Exchange Traded Fund, as their ETF, marking a change in how the agency approaches the crypto industry. So I think last year they said was a regulation year. Was it this year? But we see a whole lot going on there. So this is the first acknowledgement for Solana ETF. Or this happened on Thursday. They officially did acknowledge that, and it triggers the agency officials' timeline, typically a 240-day process with multiple decision deadlines, and is considered a second stage. And then there's the most interesting, I'm sorry if that's my perspective, in El Salvador, the first country to adopt Bitcoin as their legal tender. They did that in 2021. Now they have reversed that decision, and they say it's pressure from IMF. There you go. El Salvador ends Bitcoin as their legal tender. Let's talk to Olumide Adesina now, find out if he has heard anything new about this. Hi, Olumide. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Hini. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you. So what's going on with El Salvador? They say it's pressure from IMF. I mean, has it done any harm to their economy?
Yeah, unsurprisingly, you know that the IMF had weighed on El Salvador being the first country making Bitcoin as legal tender, and one of the conditions for support in the Latin country was that they should change that narrative. Well, while El Salvador made some concessions, recent data shows that they still additionally bought about 60 Bitcoins. And in 2024, they made a profit of about $333 million on their Bitcoin investment. So primarily, it shows that Bitcoin has added color to that economy, has brought in big players like Tita. Tita is one of the biggest stablecoin issuers in the crypto space. They've already domiciled their headquarters in El Salvador, and also the country has an immigrant strategy where high net worth people can in the crypto markets can really stay. So while you look at the fact that IMF has some wins in the fact that they've stopped using Bitcoin as legal tender, the narrative around the crypto space with El Salvador still remains.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be like totally banned also. So even though it's not a legal tender, do we have an idea of how they're going to use it, perhaps in parts and maybe not fully as a national legal tender?
I think if you look at the pathway that has already been created by Donald Trump, he has brought in a pro stance on the crypto space, and that has boosting the morale of many countries, particularly those that really like the crypto assets. If you look at Czech Republic, for example, the president cancelled uh, capital gains on Bitcoin for at least 3 years. And going back to El Salvador, I think Bitcoin would definitely play a key role as strategic reserve. This is a country that recently announced that water and electricity was free for at least for about a month. And you looking back at Nigeria, you see that our sovereign fund has performed less than what you've seen in El Salvador. So I think the narrative now is that it's more going to be like a strategic reserve, a store of value, rather than a payment facilitator as they planned. And also the fact that it has also put the country in the face of many news channels because of their Bitcoin stance. They will not want to lose that.
So, but does on the other hand, does it mean that the IMF is averse to virtual assets?
Definitely, the IMF are not easing their stance against the Bitcoin and crypto market, though they've been more flexible of late as the functionality around the space becomes more integral in traditional finance. You could recall that even the European Central Bank discarded using Bitcoin as an holding reserve for the bank. So yes, there's this still growing concerns about Bitcoin volatility, and that also played out in if you look at this week and last week, you saw that Bitcoin has lost about $10,000 in a span of few days, and that really shows its unreliability as a store of value, high volatility, and concerns among key players that it's also a conduit for illegal financing still makes the asset very tough for adoption in institutions.
So, looking at the horizon, any possible thing to pop up Bitcoin in the nearest future? We're just going to continue with this volatility that we've been seeing.
Yeah, but I think the future for Bitcoin is bright. The world largest asset manager, BlackRock, which portfolio of 12 trillion, had increased their buying pressure on macro strategy turn strategy, the biggest corporate Bitcoin holder. Also, the same asset manager has about $50 billion worth of Bitcoin in spot ETF. So you can't really bet against that asset. I feel that the organic growth of Bitcoin will definitely take shape, but I'm wary about the fact that a lot of people feel that Bitcoin will hit about $1 million under President Trump, which I think is an exaggeration.
All right, thank you so much, Olumide, for sharing your perspective on that exaggeration and a whole lot more. Olumide Addition, a financial markets analyst.
Thank you very much, Jenny.